Well, we love a good rivalry, and that's exactly what's on hand at the pit in Albuquerque, New Mexico today. It's the New Mexico State Aggies traveling from Las Cruces to face the New Mexico Lobos. Let's get you the starting lineups of these two rivals. Of course, it's the Aggies who have won 3 straight, dating back to the era when Paul Weir was still there, of course, now with the Lobos. JoJo Zamora, Clayton Henry, AJ Harris, the point guard for the Aggies, CJ Bobbitt, and Eli Chua. And then for the Lobos, Corey Manigal, Vance Jackson, Keith McGee, Makwach Malawach, and Vladimir Pinchuk, the 2 returners. So, of course, this rivalry extends into the coaches, as we mentioned. Paul Weir came from New Mexico State last year, his first season with the Lobos, a slow start for them, and then they quickly got themselves to the Mountain West Conference tournament in Las Vegas. High expectations for them this season.
Well, Paul Weir has turned this program around pretty quick, Jenny. They were picked 9th this time last year in the preseason poll. They're picked 3rd this year, and gives you some indication of, again, how quickly he's turned the fortunes around of Lobo basketball.
Well, Weir, of course, having success when he was with New Mexico State, 28 wins before coming over to the Lobos. Chris Jans took over, and what does he do? 28 wins in his first year, WAC Coach of the Year.
Well, we were kind of coaching 28 wins for Paul Weir his first year. Chris Jans comes in, 28 wins his first year. I was thinking maybe I should coach there next year, just write in 28 wins.
I think that's how you do it. That's exactly right. Well, these two know each other well, both basketball programs. Of course, the fans know each other well, too. You can tell things are already a bit heated in the stands. The energy is rocking, and the pit is ready to see some good rivalry basketball. We are, too, and glad you're along with us here on AT&T Sportsnet today. Well, here's the tip, and in control, New Mexico State. They're wearing all blacks today. Of course, New Mexico, they're trading in the cherry and silver for turquoise, part of the Nike N7 program, celebrating Native American Heritage Month.
Well, the Aggies, the quicker of the 2 teams, and the Lobos, the larger of the 2 teams. Now, Lobos are not without some quickness.
AJ Harris pulls up, and right away 2 points for the Aggies.
AJ Harris coming off his season-high 17 in their loss earlier in the week to St. Mary's when they had a hard time shooting the ball in.
Vance Jackson, the transfer answers. He was at UConn, set out last season, and Mountain West preseason newcomer of the year this year.
Well, Vance Jackson can really shoot it at 6'9". You'll see him drift out to that 3-point line. He is 5 of 12 so far in his early season from the 3-point line. Now, watch the Lobos will try to press virtually every possession defensively. And they have 3 different presses, Jenny. They'll either trap you on the first pass, their diamond and 1 press, they'll soft press you 2-2-1, or they'll man press you, and that's what they're doing now. And this is not an all-out pressure. This is just to try to get you to run a little bit of clock and maybe shoot yourself in the foot a little bit.
And as Chris Jans said, the Lobos defense can really just kind of nag on you a little bit. They can be annoying to handle, and that's something the Aggies are going to have to respond to. And right there they do with an easy bucket for Chua.
Well, that was set up by a great basket cut by CJ Bobbitt, who went away to screen and then broke off the screen, got a wide open look, and gave up that easy look for a great look for the layup.
In transition for the Aggies, Harris will bring the ball up and gets it right away to Zamora, missing the layup.
Transition defense will be big on both of these teams' parts. I think this is going to be a very fast-paced game, so transition defense is going to be a huge, huge factor.
Our first stoppage of the game, a foul on Zamora.
And it was interesting listening to Paul Weir during their shoot-around today, Jenny, about transition defense. He said in transition defense, you do not have a man. You do not have a matchup. And watch for them to play that very theme with all their defense. They'll switch every ball screen. You'll see big guys guarding small guys guarding big guys. Not so much with the Aggies. They're a little bit more traditional as they play their half-court man defense.
Well, speaking of switching, we'll see lots of players on the floor today as Anthony Mathis enters the game.
Terrific shot there by the 6'9" Mathis, a junior college transfer from Indian Hills Community College. He started his college career at Pitt. A little delayed reaction where he started his career at Pitt.
Yeah, for Corey Manigault going back-to-back, 4 points for him now.
As I said, it took me a while to get it out, but he started his career at Pitt, transferred to Indian Hills. He has led the Lobos in scoring in both of their previous 2 games. We just talked about a mismatch. There was Vance Jackson at 6'9", guarding the A.J. Harris. Now he's back on him again by virtue of another switch.
Zamora drives again and kicks out. Henry missing.
Three-point shooting, a huge problem for the Aggies in their loss to St. Mary's earlier in the week. Only 2 for 18, Jenny, 11% from the three-point line. A.J. Harris, JoJo Zamora, there's 2 starting guards, only 2 of 10 for the entire game.
Yeah, they didn't have a three-pointer until the second half. It's going to be hard if you're going to go toe-to-toe with a team that's really good at three-point shooting in the Lobos.
Well, they're coming off a loss to a very, very good St. Mary's team, a perennially top 20 team. And Chris Jan said he was not really disappointed. He said, we thought we did more harm to ourselves than what St. Mary's did to us.
Ball floating around, and it's going to end up as a foul. Foul's on Bobbitt, his first of the game.
Anthony Mathis trying to pick that loose ball up and get to the basket. Anthony has not shot a free throw yet this year. Of course, we're only 2 games into it, but as we talked about in the opening, one of the great three-point shooters in the nation last year, shooting just under 50%. He was 4th in the entire nation.
So Bobbitt out, Muhammad Chan in for the Aggies.
Also, Dane Kuiper, another outstanding three-point shooter in for the Lobos.
And a fast break for the Aggies, only to be turned back over and a foul call on Henry.
Now, the one big glaring problem for the Lobos, again, after only 2 games, is they have averaged over 20 turnovers in both of their games this year. They're coming off a nice win beating Iona on Tuesday night, 90-83, where they shot the ball over 50% from the field, 40% from the three-point line, but they had 20 turnovers. They can't expect to have a real high level of success by giving up that many possessions in the game.
Jordan Arroyo also checking in.
A.J. Harris doing a great job of trying to keep the ball out of Mathis's hands.
And Keith McGee missing on the drive.
Great move, great strong drive there. McGee just not able to make that one go in.
It's our first look of Yvonne Ure Coacheu. I will not make you say that 100 times
very
today.
Very good. As we were practicing that today, Jenny, I called Vegas to see what the over-under was, and me saying that correct. It was not very good. The game right now is kind of resembling that same thing. 6-4.
The Mountain West preseason poll is brought to you by your Colorado Chevy dealers. No surprise that the Nevada Wolfpack picked to finish first again in the Mountain West Conference. The San Diego State Aztecs right behind them, both making the tournament last year. The New Mexico Lobos picked third. That's a long way from that preseason 9th the season before, and of course last year a tale of 2 halves for them. Well deserved.
Well, they were picked 9th in the preseason poll. They finished 3rd. They finished the league schedule 7-1, and that man right there, Paul Weir, got them all the way to the final game of the conference tournament against San Diego State. He did a great job in his first year, kind of changing the style of play, changing a lot of things in this program in a very, very short period of time.
So since December 17th, an 18-7 record under Paul Weir. Of course, his first year now into his second year. And Ure Coachea misses the second of 2 free throws, so now the Aggies within 1.
Both teams kind of retooling things, Jenny. The Aggies with 10 newcomers on their roster and Lobos with 9. There you see a new, if we could replay that, a new emphasis by the officials. The defender went under the ball screen. The ball screen guy rolled to the basket. Now the officials have determined that is the defensive player's possession. That's his area, and if he rolls into that player, it's an offensive foul. That's the first time I've seen it called this year.
To see if Aggies can capitalize on points. Here's to the drive. Good defense by Mathis. Gets a hand on the ball and kicks it out. Kuiper to McGee. Manigault back out. Kuiper, that's in his range, and it's good. Good for 2.
Dane Kuiper coming off not such a great shooting game this week against Iona. Only 2 of 6, 1 of 4 from 3. And that's where he has grown as a shooter. Before, early in his career, he couldn't put it on the ground and create a shot. Watch this little quick, efficient shot fake. One dribble to his left, and he is a great shooter. Career high 24 here last year against Arizona when he hit 6 3-point shots. He and Anthony Mathis, great holdovers from the previous staff, Craig Neal. They have endured and kind of suffered through a lot of things here in the last couple of years. I tip my hat to both those young men, kind of persevering through some tough times, and I think they're being rewarded here as seniors. And Coach Weir even acknowledged that to us. He wants them to have a good senior year for what they have put up with, kind of endured here during their career.
Yeah, Kuiper the lone returning starter, but you don't put much stock into starters on a Paul Weir coached team. He's now coming off the bench this season. Of course, 4 returners for the Lobos this year with 9 newcomers, 10 newcomers for the Aggies.
Hard drive by Terrell Brown. They're the second leading scorer on this Aggie team, yet he has yet to start a game. This is their 4th game. He's averaging a little bit over 10 points. Watch him put his head down. That's kind of a tough matchup there for Kuiper. Brown, much more of a combo guard, smallish at 6'1". Dane Kuiper at 6'7". So again, laterally, that's a little bit of a challenge for Kuiper.
Kuiper with 2 quick fouls. And that's going to be Lobo basketball.
You know, really not a lot of turnovers, only 2 for the Aggies and 1 for the Lobos, but a lot of bodies flying around, that ball flying around too. Not a thing of beauty so far, only 8-5, not a high scoring affair either, Jim.
Yeah, Coach Weir mentioning, I think, an undefeated record with 20+ turnovers in the game, and something he didn't want to exercise to see how long that could last.
Yeah, he said we're 4-0 with 20+ turnovers. That's not something I want to test each and every time. We had an outstanding conversation with Paul Weir at their shoot-around, kind of refreshing his perspective of coaching and his perspective of life in general. I really enjoyed that. Kind of a new age coach, so to speak. Not one of those old school guys that coaching is the only thing in his life, that's for sure.
Well, at 39, we're seeing a couple of young coaches now in the Mountain West Conference, and Mathis hits his first 3 of the game.
Speaking of creating a 3-point shot, Anthony Mathis coming off that high ball screen, putting it on the deck, 2 or 3 dribbles. That is not an easy shot. Anthony Mathis was more of a catch-and-shoot guy when he first got here. He is a great story. He scored 81 points combined his freshman and sophomore year. Last year exploded for over 400 points and set a school record for the most 3-point shots made in a conference season.
Lobos up by 6. The Aggies, another turnover for them. And the Lobos on the other end, setting something up. Vance Jackson into Pinchuk, and that's good for 2.
Well, way too easy a post catch here. Pinchuk caught that with almost 2 feet in the paint. And I was about ready to criticize Vance Jackson for not passing that ball and getting it reversed. He ultimately is the guy who made an outstanding post pass, almost a high-low pass. Remember, Vance Jackson is 6'9". He has great perimeter skills, and I like pinch cook. He's coming off his career-high 30 minutes in the last game played, but just took his time, backed it in, and laid it up. Watch Anthony Mathis come off of this ball screen and come off of it tight, shoulder to shoulder, and create his own shot there. Again, that is not an easy shot. Now watch the big German Pinchuk here. Catch it, take his time. See, there's not a double team. Back his man down, rhythm right into his go-to shot, which is a jump hook over that left shoulder. That kid has come a long way. Only a sophomore, 6'11", 235, 13 starts last year, and he has come on in leaps and bounds.
It's the first foul on Anthony Mathis. 4 fouls for each team. And Coach, the Aggies are having a hard time scoring. It's a 13-3 run for the Lobos. Can't get that to go in. And an offensive foul. So Zamora quickly in foul trouble with 2.
The perimeter for New Mexico State, A.J. Harris, Zamora, and Clayton Henry are the only players to start every game this year. As I said, both coaches, both teams going through kind of a finding themselves process here early in the year. Both teams only returned 1 starter. 10 newcomers for the Aggies, 9 for the Lobos.
Manigault tried to feed it into Pinchuk, and he wasn't looking, so a turnover there and another quick foul on Drew Drennan.
Drennan has made a couple of very, very nice individual defensive plays. He's guarded the ball off the dribble very well a couple of times, and then took that last charging foul.
Drennan played his first minutes in the last game against Iona in the second half. So just 2 minutes coming into the game today in his college career.
Getting extended minutes here tonight.
A 3 attempt, good for Henry, and that ends a scoring drought for the Aggies that started just under 19 minutes. Jabari Rice with the ball. Goes up for the easy layup. Coach, we were watching him earlier today and shoot around the redshirt freshman, 6'4", just 165, but the guy can move.
Well, that was a terrific finish there. Took that up through 2 defenders. Kind of made a powerful looking play for a guy that only weighs $165.
Manigault looks for 3 off the mark.
Now that's not Manigault's game. He had only taken 1 3-point shot before this. He has some perimeter skills, but that's not the way you want to butter your bread, so to speak, to have him out there shooting a 3-pointer. This is the big guy who has perimeter skills.
Vance Jackson is going to draw the foul call. 13-10. The Aggies getting close.
Welcome back to the pit. The Lobos up 13-10 on their rivals, the Aggies. Earlier in the game, I talked about the new emphasis this year by the officials that has changed things here. Watch this pass from the top here. Now it's going to be followed by the ball screen. Stop it right there. Now watch the way the defensive player goes under this ball screen. Before, that was completely legal to roll, the guy who set the screen to roll in to that player. This year, it has been determined that that defender, that is his area, and if you roll into him, that is an offensive foul. And Dave Hall and the rest of the officials right on top of that, making the new call. Jenny, we used to be worried about getting caught up when I tell a guy, don't go under that screen. You're going to get caught on that roll. If you get caught on it now, the guy who's rolling into you gets an offensive foul. Kind of an interesting adjustment in the officiating.
Well, speaking of officiating, 3 great officials tonight, David Hall, Mike Reed, and Tony Padilla. They're looking at this right here to see if it's a 3 or a 2. Of course, this coming from Kuiper earlier. Looks like that toe right on the line. Tough to tell.
That's tough to call. That's tough to call. There's Dane Kuiper, the 6'7" senior, originally from Alaska, went to high school in Corona del Sol High School in Arizona, where he won back-to-back state championships. It's interesting, Jenny, in that we talked about Kuiper and Mathis kind of enduring through some tough times. I kind of feel like there's a correlation. Both those guys won back-to-back state championships when they were in high school. You would kind of think if a couple guys can persevere and endure, it would be guys who win back-to-back state championships. There's something to be said for recruiting winners.
Yeah, there is. And I think a lot of the junior college kids you're seeing had some great postseason experience as well.
There's a lot of talent, Jenny. There's a lot of talent in this game, both junior college and transfer-wise.
Ball's on the floor. Aggies come up with it, but right back to the Lobos. Pinchuk in trouble underneath, kicks it out. And the first look for Malawach.
Malawach really kind of got in between decisions there. Should I shoot this? Should I drive it? Ended up being a little bit out of control. Pretty good individual defense picking up the charge. Malawach is a kid who we called Malawach last year, had very quietly corrected the SID. She said he's such a nice kid. He didn't say anything last year. Instead of Malawach, it is now Malawach. Malawach.
I think as a freshman, he was just happy to be getting his minutes.
Well, he had an outstanding freshman year. He averaged 9 points, which is 4th on the all-time freshman scoring record here for the Lobos, which kind of surprises me because obviously there's been some pretty good freshmen come through here.
16 fouls for both, so we're going to watch and see if this goes down as number 7 on the Lobos. It's going to be 1-1 now.
With the grab.
So the second foul for Mathis. 1-1 coming up for the Aggies.
Well, we're getting our first look at, I think the first look at the other point guard for the Lobos, Keith McGee, who played at South Plains Junior College last year for an old buddy of mine, Steve Green. They won the national championship at Hutchinson, and he was the MVP of the entire tournament. A long drink of water, 6'3", 180. Anthony Mathis is truly a combo guard. He can play the point or the second guard. Keith McGee more of a pure point guard.
So Terrell Brown making both. He now has 5 points.
Terrell Brown has just been a blur, another outstanding junior college transfer in this game. Oh, that's not the way you want to begin your first minutes of the game. Come down and drag your foot for a travel for Keith McGee. And we're seeing, to be quite honest, a little raggedy play here, which I kind of expected this time of year, Jenny. Jenny, I can remember when the season didn't used to start till Thanksgiving weekend. Opening date of the season this year, November 6th. I can never remember the season starting that early.
Can't start soon enough, right? Come on. October, let's get it going.
Well, we'll be starting in September before the World Series starts here if the coaches have anything to say about it.
So A.J. Harris with the make. It's now a 9-0 run for the Aggies. We thought we might see this a little bit of back and forth, and it's exactly how things have been scripted in the first half of the first half.
And they just took the lead, 14-13. I believe that is their first lead of the game. Actually, I think they led 2-0. I think Harris hit the first basket of the game, and then the Lobos came down and hit a basket. And I don't think they've had a lead since then. We'll say that anyway, Jenny. I don't know if that's right or not. But,
I think you're right on point,
why let the facts get in the way of a good story?
That's right. Call it how you see it.
Exactly. Oh, it was 4-2, Frank.
That's why we have the best stats guy in the land of enchantment right here.
And he's a detail guy. That's the reason we never get along. You know, I kind of like to make things up as I go along. Frank is always holding me to the numbers.
Kicks out 3 attempt for Jabari Rice, and count it. He now has 5 points on the evening.
About Jabari Rice, I thought that was out of rhythm for the redshirt freshman. He kind of made a ball fake to a pass and just went up for a shot. usually that is not how you want to get to your jump shot.
Well, you just saw Yvonne and Corey Manigault, former teammates at Indian Hills Community College, jawing at each other. You can sense this rivalry a little extra heated right now.
Heating up a little bit here about 10 minutes into the game. It doesn't take either team very long to buy into a lot at stake here. A lot of bragging rights and a lot of pride. And UNLV, coached by former New Mexico State coach Marvin Menzies, who did an outstanding job there and left to go to UNLV, which allowed Paul Weir then to take over at New Mexico State.
Of course, now Chris Jansen, his second year with the Aggies. Eli Chua, in fact, coached by all three coaches at New Mexico State, so he's had an array of different styles throughout his coaching career, or throughout his playing career, I should say.
The last of the Marvin Menzies holdovers.
It's going to stay Lobo basketball.
Pretty acrobatic move by the official there, Mike Reed.
So Drew Drennan going to inbounds the ball, and he's already doubled his collegiate minutes in one game today.
You know, I don't want to say he's gotten a lot of time in the first two games. I don't even have him on my board, so I'm glad you do and can tell me who he is.
Vance Jackson for three.
That was a full step behind the college three, and what a quick release. That kid had a great impact at University of Connecticut, where he transferred from. He started 21 games for them and had 13 double-digit games. He is quite a talent and a great find for the Lobos. He's got 2 more years after this one.
Such a great find, averaging a double-double. That in and out for Bobbitt, and back in for Yvonne.
The big Spaniard.
Coachea for three and fouled, so that's going to be 3 free throws coming up for Vance Jackson. Again, we mentioned it earlier, the Mountain West preseason newcomer of the year, and averaging a double-double so far this season. 6 Lobos in double figures.
Look how far he is behind the three-point line there. That's 2 steps. Coming into this game, after 2 games, he was shooting 43% from there, and at 5 for 12. So it's not by chance that he can shoot it in there. And the other thing is he doesn't just kind of stand around. He led the Lobos in rebounding their first 2 games. In fact, he's averaging a double-double coming off an 18 and 12 game against Iona. Again, this kid is a talent.
So 6 points for Jackson, coming from UConn as a transfer, where he averaged about 8 points a game, 40% from the field, and 3-point percentage close to 40.
He's originally from Pasadena, California. I kind of thought when I saw he went to UConn from Pasadena, he might have been driving home one summer, just stopped in Albuquerque and never left. He liked the green chili, I think.
That's right. Christmas chili's pretty good too.
Chili.
So here's that pressure defense from the Lobos. Aggies get across half court.
Both teams have been all man-to-man half-court defense. The Lobos not pressuring quite as much at full court as I thought they would, but the game has been kind of disjointed a little bit, so to speak.
And C.J. Bobbitt, the DU transfer, with 2.
And that baseline drive, Jenny, is not by chance. New Mexico State runs their offense kind of high and wide, so a guy drives the baseline there. It's tough to get from the weak side to pick him up. I think you'll see several uncontested baseline drives to the basket by New Mexico State.
Manigault has 6, and the Lobos trail by 1.
Clayton Henry showing a little versatility. Usually a small forward bringing the ball up the court, then 6'4".
And Henry for 3, getting on the board.
Showing a lot of versatility, bringing it up, giving it up, getting it back, and shooting a 3 in. A kid from Calgary, Canada, one of many Canadians that have played at New Mexico State over the years.
Palm Beach State College transfer could be an X factor for the Aggies. Deep 3 attempt for Jackson, no good.
Deep is no exaggeration there. That was almost from the New Mexico State bench. That was a little bit of a heat check.
Brown drives, and Drew Drennan picking up his second foul. So we're going to have a 1-and-1 when we return. 24-20, Aggies. Aggies up 4 with 6:44 to go in the first half here from the pit. Well, there is a little rivalry of old teammates going on. Indian Hills Community College last year featured Aggie Ure Koachoa and Corey Manigault for the Lobos. These two facing off on the hardwood today, and it's starting to get a little bit heated between these two. They had a pretty good season, 33-1, losing in the Junior College National Championship game. So a lot of nice work together, but it's not so nice today, is it?
No, they're going at each other pretty good. They lost to Keith McGee's team. I talked about South Plains College, coached by Steve Green, winning his third national championship last year. McGee being named the MVP of the tournament. That was a terrific final in the National Junior College tournament last year.
So Terrell Brown with the 1-and-1.
I tell you, Terrell Brown plays at one speed. You talk about another outstanding junior college transfer. His team won the California State Junior College Championship. A lot of people don't know this, Jenny. California plays their own state tournament. They don't play in the national tournament, and his team went 33-1 and won the state tournament, which is their national championship.
Dave Hall calling a foul on Bobbitt, so Arroyo is going to get a 1-and-1.
Dave Hall, one of the great national level referees, 34 straight NCAA tournaments, several Final Fours, and a friend of your dad.
He is a friend of my dad's. They grew up in Denver, Colorado together, played a lot of summer baseball, big competitors, and good friends.
And gave me my first technical in my college career.
So you weren't good friends with Dave
Well,
Hall
you know what? It was really a funny story. I was the interim coach at Utah, and it was against BYU, of course, a big rivalry. And I came way out on the floor, and David came over and kind of put his arm around me and said, "Coach, you can't come out this far," almost like a father to a son, walked me over to the sideline and reported he'd given me a technical. No one in the crowd even knew it, but we get a big laugh out of that over the 20-some-odd years that's happened. But he is an outstanding referee.
So Terrell Brown back at the free throw line after a Mathis foul, 3 on Mathis. And it looks like Keith McGee getting ready to check in again.
Terrell Brown plays at one speed. He is a blur. Boy, he is all over the place. About half the time out of control, but he gets an awful lot done. He's the second leading scorer on this team, Jimmy, and he hasn't started the game yet. But I'm telling you, you talk about a big-time motor. That kid is all out every possession.
Missed both free throws and gives an opportunity for Drew Drennan to get an and-one.
Drew Drennan is making a huge splash here tonight.
Rivalry game really stepping it up. His first points as a Lobo.
See, as I watch Terrell Brown there, I talk about, you know, what an energy level he plays at. He's almost too nervous to be a good defender because he moves his feet. He was in good position there, and through that nervous energy, he kind of took himself out of position to guard that baseline drive. He'll have to slow down just a little bit to be as good as he can be. But, boy, I love how hard he plays.
Misses the free throw, and the Lobos trail by 4. Yeah, we're gonna start to see a lot of whistles in this one. These two teams are getting kind of chippy, and I think the referees want to make sure it stays under control.
Well, the Aggies are undaunted, you know, coming into this this type of environment with this level of rivalry. Boy, they have played hard and competed like no one's business. And this kid here, A.J. Harris, at 5'9", 175, he's got a heart of a guy about 6'10". He started his career at Ohio State. You don't go to Ohio State unless you've got a little bit of game, Jenny. He's from Dayton Dunbar High School, which has produced a whole bunch of major college basketball players over the years.
So both free throws good, 28-22, and the Lobos in a lot of foul trouble. Drennan out of the game, 3 fouls for him. Mathis 3 fouls. Malawach entered
Well, I think some of that has to be due to how aggressive New Mexico State has been offensively. They have just put their head down and driven the ball on several occasions, and the Lobos having a little trouble staying in front of the ball and picking up a lot of fouls guarding the dribble drive.
Henry with his second foul. Nettleson Jackson to the line. So in the bonus now, 10 fouls for each team.
As I said, boy, what a great talent this kid is. 6'9", about 230, shoots it easy from the three-point line, an outstanding rebounder. I guess I'm not the only guy that thinks that, since he was voted the preseason newcomer of the year. Might be someone else out there that thinks that too, or a couple of people.
Had a big first half against Iona, 13 points. He was 3 for 5 from three-point range. See 1 3 from him tonight. Free throws good. 9 points now for Jackson, and still a 4-point lead for the Aggies with 5:44 to go.
And one of the main cogs in this Lobo offense, Anthony Mathis, saddled with 2 fouls early in this, 3 fouls in this first half. Only has 3 points. He hit that off of that ball screen where he dribbled into a 3-point shot. That has hurt the Lobos at the offensive end. Now the Lobos, because of that foul trouble, I assume, now playing the 2-3 zone at half court.
Shot clock down to 5. They had to fire, and Harris gets the points. 3 for him, 31-24 Aggies.
Remember, this is an Aggie team that went 2 for 18 from the three-point line versus St. Mary's. And with each basket they make, Jenny, they are playing with more and more and more confidence. The Lobos, in the last 5 minutes of the half here, are going to have to kind of hold the fort a little bit, make sure they don't go down double digits or more.
3 attempts again, and Jabari Rice off the mark.
Jabari Rice, I talked about, he made a 3 a few minutes ago off the pass fake. I didn't think that was a great shot selection by Jabari Rice.
Jordan Arroyo with the follow-through. His first points of the night.
Great follow-up by Jordan Arroyo, a local kid from Albuquerque. You can get a lot of points, Jenny, if you go after every offensive rebound. There wasn't anything pretty or skilled about that. Arroyo, a 6'7" freshman, just went and fetched that one and put it back in.
3-point, good. Sean with the 3.
Sean at 6'9", the junior college transfer. Everyone getting into the act, shooting it in now. And again, the Aggies 2 for 18 on their home court earlier in the week, and they're just lighting it up from the three-point line here on the Lobos home court.
5 for 8 on their rivals court, and answers is Keith McGee on the board with 3-pointer.
Well, this is starting to look like a game of horse now. I believe the last 5 shots from both teams combined, or last 5 out of 6, take a Royals putback in there, have been 3-point attempts.
Takes the 3 and drives good for Sean. 5 quick points.
There's that baseline drive I referred to earlier, because the Aggies play that offense so high and wide, and a great finish by Vance Jackson to pull his team.
The land of enchantment, full of beauty. White Sands National Monument, 275 square miles of white sand dunes right here in New Mexico. Lots of beauty to be enjoyed, and a rivalry game too.
Well, Jenny, I landed here last night at 5:45 as the sun was setting, and I truly knew why this is called the land of enchantment. It was so picturesque. It looked like you were looking at a portrait out the airplane window. It was absolutely breathtaking.
We have quite a rivalry game going on here at the pit. 5-point game. The visitors lead, and in fact, they've won the last 3 straight. They're looking to make it 4 straight for the first time since 1993-94.
Well, Jenny, I said earlier this looks like a game of horse. This has been a shootout. New Mexico State is shooting 70% from the field, 62 from the three-point line, again, after shooting 11% from the three-point line in their last game. The Lobos, on the other hand, 66% from the field and 60% from 3. Did anyone mention the word defense before this game started?
I think we'll be seeing some coming up. Vance Jackson, 11 points, got fouled before the break, turns it into a 3-point play.
I kind of have a feeling both coaches may bring that word up at halftime. The Lobos now in their hard trap, hard press. Didn't get a chance to really set that first trap very good. The Aggies doing a pretty good job of handling it. Of course, you know when you come in here to play the Lobos, you're going to have to handle that pressure. So Chris Jans did a great job of going over their press attack in their walkthrough today, or this morning, I guess it was, about 9:30.
Aggies during shoot around before the game, very vocal, very energized. Lobos seemed more concentrated, and the putback there for Chom.
Chom having a big, remember he just hit a three-pointer about 90 seconds ago at 6'9", getting to the offensive glass. Someone really missed the block out there.
And on the back door, Kuiper missing the bucket, but fouled.
Watch Mohamed Cham here getting to the offensive glass from the perimeter. Remember, I said after Jordan Arroyo for the Lobos had gotten a putback, you can get a whole lot done if you commit yourself, if you're a big guy, to go to the offensive glass every time. You're going to get a couple of those every game.
So goaltending for Kuiper, and it's Aggies ball. That Lobos pressure coming out, but the Aggies handling it, getting it across half court.
A nice job by A.J. Harris. They broke the pressure. He kind of backed it out, so let's run a little half-court offense now.
A.J. Harris dishes it out, and they reset. Shot clock winding down under 10. Cham for three, no good. Foul on New Mexico. No, I correct myself. Foul is on the Aggies. Number 22, Chua, with his first foul.
Well, I thought for sure that was a pushing foul on Easy of the Lobos. I didn't see that. Not to say that wasn't the right call, but I sure thought that Chua had got thrown to the floor.
Chua didn't see it either as he
Chris
tried to make a case to the official. Dave Hall coming over to correct. They just pointed the wrong way.
I've done that before.
Have you?
I think I did that a couple times today. And we'll probably do it a couple times tonight.
Kareem Ezzedine misses the first.
Good-looking junior college transfer there. Ezzedine from Paris, France. One of, I didn't count them, but several international players in the game tonight.
Lobos as a team shooting 68% from the free throw line in this young season coming into the game. Misses both for Ezzedine, and it remains a 4-point game under 2 minutes.
So the Lobos have kind of gotten themselves straightened out a little bit, down only 4 now. They've gotten a couple consecutive stops here.
Brown with the floater, and Jabari Rice with the putback.
That's 2 easy putbacks in about the last 2 minutes. And I think, even though he's one of my favorite guys, Dane Kuiper was the guy who missed that block out.
Kuiper up, missing the layup.
For some athletic teams, Jenny, the best offense is just to throw it up there on the glass and then tell the guys, go get it.
Harris feeds it in, and Avon with an easy 2.
The big Spaniard. Terrific pick and roll here by A.J. Harris, the oldest play in basketball. Nice left-handed pass to the lefty. The Aggies getting several easy baskets here on offensive putbacks, and then that easy roll to the basket. Are now shooting 65% from the field, 55 from 3. Again, not the type of defense I don't think either team, either coach had in mind as they were coming into this game.
Well, we talked about three-pointers being a sore spot for the Aggies coming into the game. Just 2 for 18 in their last against St. Mary's. But you know what? Sometimes you got to just keep firing. And today they've done that. 5 for 9 behind the three-point line.
And 4 different guys. They've gotten one apiece. 5 different guys have gotten one apiece. It hadn't been just one guy that's hurt them. And big guys and small guys. Chom has hit one at 6'9". So again, this is kind of resembling an old-fashioned shootout. Remember, early in the game, Jenny, I said this isn't the high-scoring game I thought it was going to be. The pace has picked up and the shooting has picked up here in the last 10 minutes, 42-34. New Mexico State threatening to hang 50 here in the first half on the Lobos.
The largest lead for the Aggies at 8 with a minute 18 remaining, and they're beating the Lobos at their own game, as we mentioned, with the three-point shot.
With the Lobos, once again, I thought had made a little bit of a run and kind of tightened things up there. They were only down 4, 34-38, and then they gave up the offensive rebound for a basket, and then that easy roll to the goal for a basket. So they need to kind of get a stop and try to keep this thing from getting to 10 points before it goes to halftime.
Ball tipped off Manigolt's pass. It'll stay Lobos basketball. What's your best bet here, Coach, to set up what?
For the last play for the Aggies, or on this offensive possession?
Yeah, on
here?
this offensive possession.
Well, first, they've got to beat this man-to-man press here, and if they get an easy shot out of this, they won't set anything up. They'll just take it and go. And Chris Jans today said sometimes we're best when we're not running anything. We're just playing.
Corey Manigault rips the ball out of the hands of an Aggie and back up for points.
Boy, he just took that away and put it back up. That was a man playing against a boy. Strength-wise, there, Manigault is a big, strong fella. Now look for the Aggies now to be a little bit more deliberate at half court. They won't be able to get the last shot, but they should be able to get a quality shot here. Looks like the Lobos will probably get the last shot of the half. Ooh, that pick and roll. They spread you out so much when they hit you with that roll down the middle. There's no weak side help can get there. That's a third offensive rebound and put back. Lobos better get their block out straightened out at halftime, or it's going to be a long second half. Again, the Aggies are just throwing it on the glass and going and getting it and putting it back in.
Chom with 9. Remains an 8-point Aggie lead, and they get caught up.
And that's not what the Aggies needed with less than 4 seconds to go to put them back at the free throw line.
Foul on Buchanan.
A lot of early season mistakes here, Jenny, which you would expect. Both teams only playing 3 or 4 games.
Both teams still trying to figure out their own styles. A lot of newcomers, transfers.
Both teams only returned 1 starter. I mentioned a couple times. The Aggies with 10 newcomers, and the Lobos with 9. And Jenny, that's a bunch. When you get your program going, you want to have maybe 3, a rotation of 3, 4 at the most new guys coming in a year. When you're bringing in 9 and 10 guys, I mean, it is a complete overhaul. I'd have trouble remembering my guys' names probably with that many new people in there.
Manigault makes both free throws, so a 6-point Aggie lead. 3.7 left in the half.
Now the Aggies just need to get it in and not get a turnover. It leads to an easy basket here with just a couple seconds left. Tony Padilla pointing out, I don't think that it was a clock issue. I'm not sure exactly what it was. 2 seconds left. Now they reset the shot clock to 3.7.
Aggies will inbounds. Put the ball up court, and Brown throwing it up in the air. Aggies going to be happy with a 6-point lead going into half at the pit. So 44-38, New Mexico State leading the Lobos. Coming up at the half, we're going to take a closer look at what's ahead for New Mexico this season. You're watching Mountain West Basketball on AT&T Sportsnet. The Rio Grande Rivalry is alive here at the pit in Albuquerque. 222 miles separate these teams from Las Cruces to Albuquerque, and it's the visitors right now that have come in with a vengeance. They've won 3 straight. They're looking to make it 4, and they have a 6-point lead at the half. 44-38, Aggies lead the Lobos. Well, should be an interesting second half. Coach, you mentioned defense. That's going to be a big key for Chris Jans. Of course, his leading scorers, they've been able to spread the basketball around.
Well, A.J. Harris is coming off a 17-point game when they lost to New Mexico. He is playing with great poise and great energy, the little transfer from Ohio State.
Lobos shooting 63.6% from the floor. Vance Jackson, who averages a double-double, 12 points for him. Corey Manigault also in double figures with 10.
Well, no surprise there at those top two guys. That's their leading and third leading scorer. The surprise is, not a surprise, Anthony Mathis was only one basket. Early foul trouble has really taken him pretty much out of the game altogether. Let's look for him to kind of start getting heated up, so to speak. He only played 7 minutes in that first half.
Three fouls, 3 points. Not great for Mathis, but he will be on the floor for the Lobos to start this second half.
You know, Jenny, Paul Weir talking to him today, he was talking about the matchup. He said, we are the bigger team. They are the quicker team. And I think that quickness has shown a little bit here in the first half. I think a place that you wouldn't expect it to show is those three offensive rebounds by the Aggies that led to baskets, just a little bit quicker to the basket than the Lobos.
Lobos start with the basketball, and Mathis gets the ball in his hands. Again, foul trouble early in the first. He now has 6 points.
Well, he shot that quick as a hiccup, too. That ball hit his hand, and it almost like that was a touch shot. That was a terrifically quick release. 66
three-pointers for him in conference play last year. It was the most, for UNM.
And we're starting this half exactly the way we started the first half, with the teams in reverse order, with the teams just exchanging jump shots.
A.J. Harris with the points. And a 3 attempt for Mathis off.
Mathis trying to make up for lost time in a hurry here. Watch how quickly Mathis got this shot off here. Wow. Wow, what a great shooter. The fourth leading three-point shooter in the NCAA last year. So not a real surprise that he's shooting them in like that. And then at the other end, A.J. Harris very quickly answered with a three-point shot of his own to give him 12 points for the game.
Aggies out on the perimeter. Harris thought about pulling up. Passes off.
And here's a little bit of a matchup. You got Dane Kuiper on the 5'9" Harris. Now you got Manigault on Harris.
Shot clock down to 4. And a quick shot for Zamora off the rim. And the Aggies get the ball back, but that's going to be a turnover.
Zamora trying to do a little bit too much off the catch here. I thought going into halftime, Jenny, that the Aggies probably had 7 or 8 offensive rebounds. They only had 3, but they were all highlight reel, and all 3 of them led to not just putback dunks. And that's where I think that little edge and quickness has kind of manifested itself against the Lobos, in they're a little bit quicker to the offensive glass than maybe what the Lobos are used to in this young season.
To the drive and back out to Mathis in the corner. Up to Malawatch, he drives and gets a block call.
Malawatch looks like he's trying to find his rhythm a little bit to me, Jenny. That's the second time tonight where he's caught it, and it's like he's not quite sure whether he wants to shoot it, pass it, or drive it, and he just kind of gives in and puts his head down and drives it. Terrifically talented young man, 6'7", with long arms, a great basketball body. Again, it doesn't look like he kind of has found his offensive rhythm yet.
Bobbitt picking up his 3rd foul for the Aggies. In the inbounds to Kuiper, he takes it for 3 ball good.
That was what coaches call a pick-the-picker play. That Kuiper was the picker, and the Aggies gave too much help on Manigault coming to the basket. Kuiper was wide open for that 3, and talk about great footwork. Once he knew he was open, he was ready to catch and shoot it.
Lobos cut the Aggies lead to 3. It's starting to get loud at the pit. Drive for Harris and a foul call.
Watch Kuiper set this back screen. He sets 2 screens. He sets a back screen here where the Aggies help on the guy coming off of it. Watch him right there, and then he pops. That was a nice out-of-bounds play, but that was a big missed assignment by the Aggies there.
Kuiper picked up his third foul.
And see, you find Harris at the free throw line, and that's due. This is where the Lobos switching every screen kind of comes back to haunt them a little bit. They ended up with Vladimir Pinchuk at 6'11" on A.J. Harris. And A.J. Harris recognized that and simply put his head down and drove him. And you can take advantage of a mismatch much easier, a small guy playing against a big guy, than a big guy taking a small guy into the post. And Harris, again, with great court awareness and a high basketball IQ, just kind of spaced him out and drove him.
The lefty makes bold. He now has 14 points. One shy of his high so far this season last week at St. Mary's.
His career high is 20 that he got against Grand Canyon last season, which was his first year at New Mexico State.
Pinchuk tried to get in there and get the basketball, and it's going to be the opposite effect. Another foul for the Lobos.
With Pinchuk at 6'11", 235, it's kind of hard to hide a foul like that when you throw a guy to the floor. He's big enough to go bear hunting with the switch. You can't hardly just kind of move, gently a guy around like that and expect to get away with it.
I can't find my green pin. That's where I mark coachisms. I haven't been able to use it yet. Mark that one down.
Well, the point I'm making, he's a big kid.
We hear you. Harris lays it up. And it's going to be good for Chua.
I tell you, Harris is causing havoc with the Lobos defense. There again was a mismatch, and he took his guy into the paint, made a nice pass, but the Lobos defense gets broken down, gets disjointed, and that's what allows Chua to get all the way to the offensive glass uncontested. That is their fourth offensive rebound that has led to points.
Yeah, it was a nice pass to Chom, and his miss is Chua's make.
Chom had a nice first half with 9 points, I think. 4 or 5 from the field.
Vance Jackson fires for 3 and misses. That lead back up to 8 for the Aggies.
I know Vance Jackson can shoot that and shoot it pretty easily, but early in this half, when you're trying to overcome a lead, I'd like to see him play, as coaches say, a little bit more downhill. Drive the ball, get the ball into the low post. Do a couple things that aren't quite as challenging as stand out there and shoot three-pointers. And again, A.J. Harris just having his way, the smallest kid on the court, having a huge second half.
16 points for Harris and a 10-point lead for the Aggies, their biggest lead of the night.
And once again, Malawatch, like I say, just not in sync offensively.
Malawatch and Arroyo coming off the court, so some fresh bodies for the Lobos. Drew Drennan back in, again 3 fouls for him.
And we talked about the difference, size versus quickness. Lobos now, with their starting front line in, that's 6'9", 6'9", 6'11". And when they switch those guys again to A.J. Harris or to the likes of Terrell Brown, they're having a lot of trouble staying in front of the basketball. There's that switch again, and there's Terrell Brown taking advantage of it. He can't finish the deal, though. But the same thing, that broke to the Lobos defensive down and allowed an offensive rebound and a second shot.
Well, after the drive that Brown missed, he goes out and pulls up for the 3. 10-0 run now for the Aggies. And their basketball again. Rivalry alive.
Welcome back to the pit. The Aggies on a roll, a 10-0 roll against the Lobos here, led by the smallish 5'9", A.J. Harris, who's just having his way with the Lobos now, taking advantage of all those mismatches here. You see Pinchuk at 6'11", trying to stay in front of the 5'9", Harris, and the Aggies, as I said earlier, playing with more and more confidence as the night goes on.
averages just 9 points a game at 16 right now. He only made 1 3 coming into the game. He has 2 threes, and that's kind of just the story of this New Mexico State team.
Jenny, I was thinking right before break, the Lobos showed a little zone, I think mostly because of foul trouble in that first half. Now they're playing man-to-man now. I thought maybe Paul Weir might switch to a little bit of his 2-3 zone to try to keep the Aggie guards out of the paint, which is not necessarily leading to a basket, but it's breaking them down that offensive rebound.
A.J. Harris for 3.
A.J. Harris started his career at Ohio State. And like I say, you got to have game to go there, and he's showing a whole bunch of game tonight, from breaking them down to shooting it in from 3. And to get back to that point I made about the Aggies' quickness, it just seems like, Jenny, they're a half a step quicker getting to almost every play. Defensively, offensively, loose balls, they are really taking advantage quickness-wise of the Lobos.
Foul on Chom, and Manigault a chance to add. He makes the first of 2.
Boy, Manigault and Jackson are 2 outstanding looking basketball players at 6'9", 225, and 230. But right now, it's the smallest guy on the court having his way, and A.J. Harris for the Aggies. There's that hard first trap.
So out of bounds by the Aggies. That's going to be Lobo basketball.
Well, isn't it interesting in that Paul Weir said today, they almost lull you to sleep with their pressure, and then all of a sudden here you are in the corner with 2 6'9" guys on you, which is exactly what happened, and they turned it over. Here's that same play that Kuiper got the 3-point shot on earlier. The Aggies doing a much better job of guarding that, and Vance Jackson not able to get to that 3-point shot.
Brown with a tip on Drennan's shot. And another whistle.
And the guy comes away with that amongst those 3, Clayton Henry at 6'4". Quick to the ball. Speed kills, as the old saying goes, Jim.
Manigault's first foul.
I may have just made that up. Have you heard that before? Did I make that up?
You know what, Coach? Just say it with confidence, and it's like it came from the textbook.
Yeah. I forget sometimes where I hear things and make them up. See the way the Aggies are running that offense high and wide.
And wide open. No good for Clayton Henry firing the 3.
So once again, A.J. Harris breaking down the defense, getting all the way to the paint.
Manigault inside, can't get it to go. Gets his own rebound and an and-one situation for Corey Manigault.
Size versus strength that time, or versus quickness, and that time the size and strength won out, with Manigault being sawmill strong amongst the Aggies here. Look at him. Wow, go up again in a crowd, 2 hands. That's a man-sized rebound there.
Manigault, an 80% free throw shooter.
Well, he's been to the free throw line a bunch tonight, too. I'm trying to find how many free throws he has shot. 7 free throws already tonight. Did you say 77? That's a lot of free throws. No, 7 free throws. Now the Lobos on this situation gives them a chance to set up their press. But remember, they turned over the Aggies last time. They're not going to turn it over when they get it to Harris with a full head of steam that way.
Speed of Harris broke the press and got the Aggies into their offense. Brown will drive. He'll take it, and the easy layup.
Now that time it was not a mismatch. That's just a poor job by my guy Anthony Mathis guarding the ball there. And like I say, the Aggies have just put their head down and driven it and created a lot of problems, one being foul problems by the Lobos.
Manigault will get the
Watch
and
Terrell
one
Brown here, and I talked about what a flurry he plays with here. I mean, he has one speed there, and that is the quickness, and here is the size and strength of Manigault, who at 6'9", 225 is a handful when he goes to the basket.
You mentioned it, perfect from the line, 5 for 5. That'll be a 6th free throw attempt, and count it. 18 points for Manigault, which is his average so far this season.
With the Lobos being a little bit better offensively, making their free throws gives them a chance to set their press, but boy, it's tough to press A.J. Harris.
And it's tough to guard A.J. Harris. Another three-pointer. He's shaking his head. He can't believe he's on fire.
How about that? He gets the ball 75 feet from the basket, dribbles it straight down, jumps up, and shoots a three-point shot in. Not exactly the shot you want out of your point guard, unless it goes in, then it's exactly the shot you want out of your point guard.
How you drew it up, right?
Exactly. But he is playing with great confidence. The Aggies up 13 now.
Here's 22 points. Perfect from behind the arc. 4 for 4. That opportunity misses for Babbitt. And out of bounds.
Watch Harris. This was part of their press attack. He got it, drove it, like I said, 75 feet down. Kind of a hard drive there, created a little space, and jumped up and shot it in. A well-needed rest, probably a well-deserved and needed rest by A.J. Harris out of the game now. For the Lobos to come back, they're down 13. They've got to get some stops, Jenny, which they just got one. You don't come back from a double-digit deficit by just playing offense. They have got to get the Aggies stopped.
Ezedine loses the ball, and now you have black jerseys and turquoise jerseys on the floor.
And the referees, Tony Padilla and Dave Hall, kind of talking their way through it.
Dave Hall's going to point to the call being a timeout.
Well, I think when, I'm not sure that was Bobbitt, went to the floor and called a timeout. But
and here at Dream Style Arena at the Pit, 65-52. Aggies with a 13-point lead.
Excuse me, I wanted to make this observation. Paul Weir, coming out of that timeout, has gone to a small lineup now. They are playing both point guards together, playing Malwatch, who's normally their small forward, and Dane Kuiper. They've gone from a big lineup to a small lineup to go along with Pinchuk. The Aggies have doubled them up rebounding-wise, 20-10.
And Mathis with the bucket.
And that small lineup paid off by getting a foul, but unfortunately Mathis picked it up and got a charging foul, which I think is his 4th foul and has to come out of the game immediately. And now they've gone back to a little bit bigger lineup. But I like what Paul Weir did then. I think was trying to match quickness to quickness.
Looks like an and one turned into a charge, and you're right, 4 fouls will send Mathis to the bench.
That's a big turnaround. That could have got it to 10, and now it's still 13, and the Aggies with the ball. Here's that baseline drive I talked about, because the Aggies running that half-court offense high and wide and kind of lifting or taking away that weak side defense.
Pinchuk with the block, looking to give the Lobos a lift, but instead the basketball going out of bounds. It'll be Aggie ball.
That just simply went through Vance Jackson's hands. He just could not corral that one. That was not a great pass, but it wasn't an awful pass either. This is a good matchup. Keith McGee on A.J. Harris. 2 pure point guards.
Harris with 22 points, drives to the hoop. Why not? He gets fouled.
And again, Harris is just having his way. I thought Keith McGee would, again, be a pretty good matchup to him. McGee kind of looked over his shoulder, anticipating that ball screen, which left Pinchuk then to try to pick up A.J. Harris again. And that's 6'11" on 5'9", and that may be good in a fist fight, but that's not very good when you're trying to guard the dribble drive.
Makes the front end. 23 points, a career high now for A.J. Harris. The redshirt junior out of Ohio State, his 2nd year at New Mexico State.
I said earlier, from Dayton Dunbar, a school that has produced a multitude of Division I players. Man, he's putting on a show here tonight.
No wonder he was listed as a preseason first-team All-WAC.
Anthony Mathis, the third leading scorer and best three-point shooter for the Lobos, on the bench with 4 fouls.
Ball watch out to the top of the key, back in the pin shot. He can't convert.
Well, that was a great defensive play by Bobbitt, who came from the weak side. And again, with that speed and athleticism, made up a lot of ground. And A.J. Harris is just in the gym by himself right now.
I was going to say, are we on the playground? Because A.J. Harris is going to work.
And with each shot, his grin gets bigger and wider. Again, he looks like he's just shooting around by himself.
26 points for A.J. Harris, leading all Aggies. It's pretty good from 3. Well, it's not a rivalry game without tempers flaring. That's starting to happen here as the Aggies lead builds to 69-52. Right as we were going to break, you see Paul Weir walking out on the floor, throwing his hands up in the air. Mike Reed not happy with it, throwing the technical on the second-year head coach for the Lobos.
Well, that was preceded by Mike Reed calling an offensive foul on Vance Jackson as he drove to the basket, a push-off foul with his left hand that obviously Paul Weir and the crowd did not agree with. A lot of frustration right now on the sideline if you're down 17 with 11 minutes to go on your home court.
A lot of those points belonging to A.J. Harris on the evening, so they send him to the line. He misses the first free throw.
He's missed his last 2 free throws. He can't miss a shot from the three-point line, but he's missed his last 2 free throws.
6 for 8 now from the charity stripe for A.J. Harris, and 27 points.
And that lead has blossomed to 18. And this is the great thing about college basketball, Jenny. This is a New Mexico State team that in their last home game, a loss on Wednesday night, they shot 36% from the field, 11% from 3. They couldn't find the basket, and now they are just playing lights out offensively. A.J. Harris doing a nice job. Once he gets a step on you, he kind of cuts that angle down to where you're not going to get back in front of him. Smart point guard.
Piper got a hand on the ball and then goes after Rice to try and get the basketball. And Buchanan will drive. The foul going on Manifold.
Well, for just a couple possessions, the Lobos were playing with both their point guards. That didn't last very long as Anthony Mathis picked up his 4th foul. But now the Aggies, for the first time tonight, kind of going even quicker, playing with both of their point guards, Buchanan and A.J. Harris. And I think a nice move by Paul Weir, seeing how A.J. Harris was breaking those switches, those ball screen switches down. So what's he do? He puts his other point guard in, says, well, let's take 2 to tango here, and 2 guys break down the defense.
Buchanan makes the first, misses the second. The Lobos, a lot of work to do. Manifold posting up and ball out of bounds.
You could do a coaching clinic, Jenny, on the difference of the way both teams are playing the ball screen. The ball screen has changed college basketball in that years ago you used to have to guard maybe 1 per possession and maybe 10 or 12 a game. You've got to guard about 5 or 6 per possession now. And again, the Lobos switching everything. New Mexico is not switching. They are, in their terminology, shadowing it, just giving a little bit of help, but staying with their guy.
Manifold pulls up and knocks 20 points for him. And the pressure from the Lobos deep. Brown brings the basketball up. No call. Drew Drennan with the good defense and Brown with the charge.
Paul Weir and the Lobos thinking that was a double dribble. I'm not sure it was. I think the ball dribbled high. I don't think his hand ever got under the ball myself. course, I never was a very good referee either, and I was really a bad referee when I was over at the sideline.
But you look so good in stripes, as we've noticed today, with our pinstripe matching.
We're not talking about my arrest of those stripes. I was only in for a little while.
Let's talk about your suit stripes, Coach. Your suit stripes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Jackson with the drive and miss.
Wow, terrific rebound there by Clayton Henry, just crashing from the perimeter.
Brown with the quick shot, doesn't go. And Jackson with the quick shot on the other end. 3 missed, but a foul call underneath on Manigault.
I tell you who's playing up a storm. Clayton Henry, the 6'4" junior college transfer. Got that last rebound crashing from the perimeter, and then just did a terrific job of blocking out on that last shot. There's a whole lot of things go into playing an outstanding game. He doesn't have a lot of points. Boy, he is making his presence known both ends on the glass. As I said earlier, Clayton Henry from Calgary, one of many Canadians who have had great success there at New Mexico State. Recently, Pascal Siegel, I think is the way you say that, the 6'9" forward who's playing for the Toronto Raptors right now, is having a terrific pro season, a Canadian that came through New Mexico State a couple years ago.
Double bonus now for the Aggies. Henry makes his first. Perfect from the line. Lead up to 73-54.
A.J. Harris has not only been good offensively, boy, he's been really good in that full court defense, putting great heat on the ball handle.
Malawatch with an air ball, so shot clock doesn't reset down to 14. And a foul call on the Aggies. A.J. Harris with his second foul. James Jackson posting up the shorter Aggie and one.
Well, that was an out-of-bounds lob to Vance Jackson from the sideline that he couldn't quite complete, but he was able to get his own rebound, kind of gather himself, and go up against Brown. And we've talked a lot tonight about mismatches and how A.J. Harris is taking advantage of a small guy against a big guy. That time, Jackson took care of a mismatch, a big guy on a small guy.
Can't convert the and one. 14 points for Jackson. And more Aggie quickness. Brown to Henry.
I tell you what, they're really, speaking of the Lobos, have an awful hard time finding a matchup for Dane Kuiper. Kuiper having a really playing a small forward at 6'7". He's matched up against Brown, he's matched up against Clayton Henry, and boy, he's having a hard time laterally staying in front of those quick perimeter players from the Aggies.
1-and-1 for Pinchuk. Doesn't go in, and
your guy, the Spaniard.
Vance Jackson can't rebound.
There's not enough time to try to say his name in basketball.
Koachea, Coach.
Hey, there we go, kiddo.
That's going to be Lobo basketball. Pass out of bounds.
You know, you almost, if you're coaching the Aggies, they play with such quickness on defense. You want to play really quick defensively, but slow down a little bit offensively, and they're playing with the same at the same speed offensively, which sometimes is not good. You feel like they're rushing a little bit, causing them shooting themselves in the foot a little bit with turnovers. Nice defense by Chom, the junior college player.
Vance Jackson for three, trying to get the Lobos back in this, cuts the Aggies lead to 16.
I tell you, I think if I were guarding Jackson or playing against him, I would tell my guy, do not, when he's on the weak side, offensively, don't leave him. Just stand there. Don't let him kick it back out to him to get a three-point shot, because in that situation, that came from point penetration to the weak side, the classic draw and kick.
Drive and dish. Brown out to Henry. Doesn't convert. Drew Drennan to pinch up for an easy two.
And the Lobos making a little run here and kind of turning the tables on the Aggies a little bit with that dribble drive. They've got it back to 14.
Well, let's flash back to last year. It was a sweep for the Aggies over the Lobos. In fact, they've won 3 straight. They're looking for their 100th victory over their rivals in the 221 meetings today. Of course, Zach Lofton, the leading scorer for the Aggies last year. He's gone with the Pistons now this year. He averaged 20 points a game, and they weren't certain they were going to have that big guy. They knew they'd have to spread the basketball around, but all of a sudden, here comes A.J. Harris, perhaps a chance to fill those shoes.
Well, I tell you, a lot can be accomplished with speed and effort, and the Aggies have played so hard tonight. A.J. Harris is just having his way. 27 points. Jenny, he is 8 for 9 from the field, 5 for 5 from the three-point line, and 6 for 8 from the free throw line. Like I said, it looks like he's just in the gym playing by himself. 5 for 5 from 3. In their loss against St. Mary's,
yeah.
He goes over from the three-point line, and he can't miss tonight.
Yeah, he just had 1 3-pointer all season coming in, and now he adds 5 more tonight with 27 points, a career high. He misses the first free throw. 6
for 9. He can't make a free throw. He's missed 3 of his last 4. If you're Paul Weir and the Lobos, Jenny, how you like this? You're shooting 63% from the field. You're shooting 60% from the three-point line, and you're down 15.
Well, the other team's shooting over 70% in the second half. That'll happen to you.
I think he's probably pointed that out as well.
So a 15-point game. Aggies lead, 7:30 left.
I tell you, one of my favorite guys on this team is that guy right there who can catch and shoot it with the best of them. That's 6'7", Dane Piper. He had 6 made three-point shots against Arizona last year, but he has been relatively quiet, almost taken out of the game with this New Mexico State quickness.
Right on average, 10 points for Piper. It has been the quickness of New Mexico State, though, and driving to the hole. Terrell Brown again with free throws coming up.
And it's not always, as I have talked about tonight, a mismatch in size. There's been several times a guy like Terrell Brown, who, like I say, only plays at 1 speed, which is really fast, just puts his head down and takes on whoever's guarding him. And the Lobos have gotten to the point they just cannot keep him out of the paint.
5 of 7 from the line now for Brown, with 1 more coming.
The Lobos now back with their original starting lineup with that big front line, 6'9", 6'9", 7 foot. Anthony Mathis, who has played limited minutes tonight due to foul trouble, back in the game.
Mathis gets it in to Manigault, looking for a mismatch. And Malawatch counted.
And that's been Malawatch's best move to the basket tonight. And that may be the first time he's driven up with his right hand coming out of that left corner, which is his strong hand. He does a nice job of coming to a jump stop and going up with those long telescoping arms to get it right to the rim.
First points from Malawatch tonight. Get a chance to convert that to 3.
He's going to be a really good player. Like I said, the 4th all-time leading scorer as a freshman last year. Not quite hit his stride yet this year, although he's one of the guys. The Lobos came into this game. Of course, it's only a small sample size, 2 games, with 6 guys averaging double figures. Malawatch being one of those.
He scored the 4th most points all time for a Lobos freshman with 327 last year. They enjoy his growth he had over the summer. And now scramble looking for the Lobos to play some tight defense. Brown again with the drive, misses over the rim, and the putback.
I thought that was a great possession by the Aggies. Kind of took their time, waited till they had that classic mismatch with Pinchuk guarding a guard. And although they weren't able to score, look what happens when your defense gets broken down. That weak side can't get to their block out because everyone's coming to try to guard the ball off of that dribble penetration, and two black jerseys on the inside there, and the big Spaniard kind of horsing that one up. What's his name again, Jenny?
Ivan Oreguchea.
You've really gotten good saving.
I mean, you got it, Coach.
I've been struggling.
Coachea. You got me all messed up now.
With 6 minutes left, I'm just going to leave that to you.
Oreguchea.
Oreguchea. I may have stuck an extra syllable in there to get my money's worth.
I feel at this point we should apologize to Ivan for using his last name as a pronunciation lesson.
That's an entire English lesson there.
11 points and some pressure defense for the Lobos.
The lead down to 11 with 6 minutes. Plenty of time left for the Lobos here. They need to get some stops. Good decision there by Clayton Henry, the Canadian.
Manigault went for it, wide open 3-look, doesn't go in.
Boy, Malawat's got away with the travel, then all the officials were running to the other end, and he sure enough traveled. Terrific block out by the Aggies there. All three black jerseys getting to their block out in the paint. They have led the Lobos, the bigger team, all game in rebounding. At one time, it was 20-10. They don't have them doubled up now, but they have led the whole game.
Travel call, so that'll be a turnover for the Aggies.
I talked about the rebounding. Right now, the Aggies are up 26-18 over the Lobos on rebounding, and that's not a lot of rebounds, but there hadn't been a whole lot of misses. Both teams shooting such a high percentage.
13th turnover for New Mexico State, and the Lobos convert. Anthony Mathis with a big three.
Terrific read by Mathis. His guy kind of lost him on that ball screen. Mathis then back dribbled and created some more space, went right to his jump shot.
Cut it to single digits, 8 points. And the Aggies tried to get him back.
So quick, chewing to the glass, another offensive rebound, and makes the right decision by throwing it back out.
New Mexico State calls a timeout.
Watch Mathis' three-point shot here, Jenny, how he gets to it. His guy Mathis kind of takes his guy off that ball screen. His guy gets tangled up where he actually falls all the way to the floor. Mathis does step back to his right. The fourth leading three-point shooter in the nation last year at 49%. You can't give him that wide open shot or he'll knock it down.
He's a big part of this Lobo run. Of course, missing some time in the first and foul trouble. He had three fouls in the first half, and now all of a sudden getting in the mix is Anthony Mathis, along with other guys like Vance Jackson from beyond the arc.
Well, that's a play that I said if you were guarding Vance Jackson, I'd shorten my weak side help up by a step and not get 2 steps off of Jackson, only 1 step where he can't get that draw and kick or that pass from the strong side quite as easy and get to his jump shot. Boy, the Lobo fans getting into it now, Jenny.
And this is where you got to play clean, sound defense. You can't get involved with the chaos going on from the fans.
I would get the ball in this guy's hands virtually every time, not because he's having a great offensive game, because he makes good decisions, and because he's having a great offensive game.
Exactly how you drew it up, right, Coach?
Wow.
30 points for A.J. Harris, leading the Aggies, and their lead back up to double digits.
At this point, like I say, I'd give the ball to him and everyone else just to kind of get out of the way. Boy, Vance Jackson is such a talented offensive player. He shot it in from 3. Look at him taking this. This is a high degree of difficulty. That pirouette or that almost 360 in the lane. And that's 6'9", 230 doing that. Folks, the preseason newcomer of the year in the Mountain West Conference, and kind of showing why I'm not the only guy that thinks that maybe he deserves that. Well, both teams going to their bench like there was a timeout. Mike Reed blowing his whistle and saying, where's everyone going? Let's come on out and shoot these free throws.
Delay a game warning for New Mexico State as Chris Jans calls his team over to the bench.
New Mexico in quite a bit of foul trouble as we go down the stretch here. 4:15 left. Mathis was 4 and Manigault was 4. 2 starters. Mathis has played very, very limited minutes tonight.
James Jackson looking to convert on the and one, and he can't, but it's going to be a lane violation.
Boy, I like their effort then. The Aggies I'm talking about, really aggressive to this block out. Watch the 2 guys in the black shirts pinch the guy in between. One of them just got in a little bit too quick. Watch him pinch this guy now. One of them's going to have to take the shooter in case there's a miss.
Jabari Rice with that violation, and Vance can't convert on the freebie. Turnover for the Lobos and out of bounds. Dane Kuiper frustrated.
Dane Kuiper almost had, if he could have come away with that, that'd been a 2-on-1 down at the other end. Lobos with 2 timeouts. New Mexico State with 1 timeout as we, in 5 seconds, get inside of the 4-minute mark.
Get it in the easy way, and E.J. Harris will take it up with Mathis on it. McKinnon back to Harris, the hot hand, 31 points for Harris. And the drive for Brown, good.
Okay, Brown, the kid from San Francisco City College, whose team went 33-1 last year. He's having a pretty big night, too.
Brown 14 points, make it 16. We got ourselves a Rio Grande Rivalry, 84. Well, for over 100 years, there's been a rivalry between New Mexico State and New Mexico, and it's the Aggies looking for their 4th straight win. They have an 11-point lead with 3:33 remaining here at Dream Style Arena. Mathis is shooting free throws. And the first one good.
Mathis had not shot a free throw until this game. Of course, that had only been 2 games.
Mathis up to 13 points. Most of those coming here in the second half. In fact, 10 of the 13.
Down to single-digit lead now. Nice job by the Aggies on their press attack there, and they spread the 2 front guys, and they got a big guy coming right down the middle for that easy catch. So then they just kind of pitch it back to a guard, and he brings it up. Pretty simple, but pretty effective.
McKinnon with the ball. Kicks it to Brown. Brown for 3, and 3 is good.
Jenny, that came off a ball screen where the screener rolled and got picked up by 2 offensive players, and a guy filled right behind him for a wide open 3. A mistake by the Lobos defensively, but good execution by the Aggies offensively. Watch the way this ball screen coming back. He rolls, and 2 Lobo defenders go with him and leaves Brown wide open there. That's called a roll and replace. The guy rolls and gets replaced by a perimeter guy, and that worked to perfection there. Maybe a mistake by Dane Kuiper there. Maybe. I'm not sure what their defensive philosophy or assignment was there.
Brown with 3 threes. That's going to be a jump ball.
Mike Reed getting ready to call a a travel there. Instead calling a jump ball, the quick hands of Terrell Brown getting out there as Jackson was going to rhythm into that three and blocked it in and around the waist. That was a good call by Mike Reed, the proper call.
Tough break for the Lobos, possession arrow Aggies. And A.J. Harris getting the ball down quickly.
Nice decision by Harris. And then once again, the Aggies simply break a big down to break that pressure and get a wide open catch. And both times, I think that's been Vance Jackson's guy who's come down and got that easy catch.
Buchanan with the drive and an easy two. He has 3 points, and now that lead back up to 14 for the Aggies. Three ball for Mathis.
And A.J. Harris, one of the few mistakes he's made tonight. You can't let A.J. Harris just dribble down and toe the three-point line. You've got to engage him out at around half court so he can't get to that range quite so easy. The Lobos now trying to extend the game by sending the Aggies to the free throw line pretty early with 2 minutes left, but they're down 11 points now. Probably the right thing to do.
Fourth foul on Pinchuk.
Boy, I tell you, if the Aggies hang on and win, that 3-hour bus ride back home for Coach Chris Jans is going to be like a ride on clouds. I tell you, there's nothing like going on the road and getting a win and then that trip home. You just feel like you don't have a care in the world.
Well, he's undefeated in his young coaching career at New Mexico State against their in-state rivals and also against their I-10 rivals in UTEP.
How about that? Those are two great rivals, and they play each other twice each year. You don't see that much in in-state rivalries, maybe once a year.
Jackson for three. 22 points for Jackson and a timeout for New Mexico.
Well, Vance Jackson is a terrific catch and shoot guy at 6'9". He is, I believe that makes him 3 of 6 from the three-point line. Like I say, you just can't leave him, I don't believe.
Well, this is no shock. In the WAC preseason poll, New Mexico State picked as favorites again with 214 total points, followed by Grand Canyon, who they played in the WAC championship game last year. You know, Coach, they've been to the NCAA tournament 6 times since 2012. It's a program that Marvin Menzies, as we mentioned, built up before he left for UNLV in the Mountain West Conference. And Paul Weir now with New Mexico took over 28 wins. Last year when Chris Jans took over for him, 28 wins. It's a great program. The people of Las Cruces expect March Madness.
Well, they've won 3 of the last 4 regular season championships, and they've won 8 of the last 13 WAC championships. So success breeds success, and like you say, Jenny, they just expect to win over Las Cruces.
So Aggies beat the press down, 10-point difference with 1:40 on the clock.
Now, I would keep the ball in this guy's hands and then get out of his way. Basically, that's what they're doing. They're spreading the court, and they're going to let him take Anthony Mathis one-on-one at the end of the shot clock.
The shot clock's down to 7.
Remember, Mathis was 4 fouls.
Now we'll watch street ball again. In and out. A rare miss for A.J. Harris tonight.
Wow, he got right to the rim, too. A terrific little crossover move, but he shot it with his weak hand. His right hand, but he was right at the rim.
The foul will go down on Buchanan. His 4th, and Mathis will shoot. Mathis trying to get it back down to single digits. Aggies with that 10-point lead.
This is A.J. Harris's move off the dribble. This is Mathis. And the Aggies with the foul.
Mathis, again, as you mentioned, hadn't had a free throw attempt until this game.
I love this kid's story. Total of 81 points in his first 2 years, which is to say he just didn't play very much. And he kind of fought through some hard times, and then last year exploded as a junior and scored over 400 points and just had a terrific year. But he persevered, and you just don't see that a lot in college athletics anymore. When things aren't going good for you, you just jump ship. But both he and Dane Kuiper stuck it out, and they're both having great senior years.
Foul on Manigault, and David Hall almost rung him up with a technical. He got real close as Manigault kind of shimmied his arm away.
Well, this is a tough loss on your home court to your in-state rivals. Now remember, Lobos have a chance to return the favor as they go over to Las Cruces before too long, and that's what makes this such a great rivalry.
So Manigault fouling out with 5 fouls. He'll end his night with 20 points.
New Mexico did not get off to a great start last year, but finished the conference season 7-1 and got within 1 game of going to the NCAA tournament, playing San Diego State in the final game of the Mountain West Conference tournament in Las Vegas.
Bob at the University of Denver transfer makes the second one. Less than a minute to go, and the Aggies looking to win their 100th game in this rivalry. Foul call on Brown. His third.
Was a tough call. Brown took one across the chops there by Jackson, I believe it is, and ended up with the foul. I'm really impressed with that kid. You talk about energetic and playing hard. Terrell Brown, who's yet to start a game for the Aggies. Boy, he is like a whirlwind when he's on the court. The Aggies going to now, the referee's now looking at that. I'm not sure what they're looking at.
Under 2 minutes, a lot more lenient on what you can review, obviously.
I think they're looking maybe to see if he actually threw an elbow or this was just an inadvertent contact there. And I don't think any intent there. But like I say, Brown came out on the wrong end of the stick on that deal, taking one across the face, but ending up with a foul. I think good decisions by the officials. 55 seconds left. Let's get it over and go home.
Jackson 6 for 9 now from the line. 23 points.
Well, in our case, let's get it over and go to Chile. With 55 seconds left.
24 points for Jackson. 93-86 Aggies. Quick foul.
I tell you, the Aggies were trying to run a home run play there, running Brown long, and he ended up running into his own player. I thought Chris Jansen did a terrific job of situational plays going over these at the end of his practice today. They were able to get the ball in and get a foul. And Lobos, of course, having the foul now with only 54 seconds left.
Bobbitt's first in and out.
Bad shot by Bobbitt. His hands were completely at his side by the time the ball hit the rim. And let's see if he can hold it, just follow through, and stay in his shot. His coach will stay a little bit better, which he did, but same result.
So a 7-point game, 52 seconds left. And Malwatch, if the drive gets fouled.
So it's going to turn into a free throw situation. Now, 7-point game, it can get down to a 5-point game here. And the Aggies are going to have to, 1, get the ball in, 2, hit free throws. Both teams with 1 timeout left here. If Malawatch can knock these down, it's, they still got a shot. If the Aggies kind of oblige him by missing some free throws.
Malawatch, 54% from the line this season. Had an opportunity earlier as a part of an and one, is only 3 points on the night. Makes it 4.
2-possession game now with, if he hits this, with 46 seconds left.
Misses it, tries to get his own rebound, and Aggie basketball with Chua going to the line.
Only 3 seconds ticked off the clock there. As I say, it's going to come down to the free throw contest for the Aggies now.
Free throws, not a bright suit at either team coming in. Just 65% for the Aggies, 68% for the Lobos. Lobos actually have the advantage tonight, shooting 70%, 67 for the Aggies. And the first one to make for Chua.
And this one could now make it a 3-possession game, which is huge.
So Chua hits, and it is exactly that. 6 points for Chua and a 3-possession game for the Aggies.
I'm sorry, it was a 3-possession game before that. It was 7
Mathis
points.
with the drive.
I'm afraid it's going to be too little too late if the Aggies, one, can get the ball in, 2 hit free throws here.
That will be another foul with Brown going to the line. There's a collision down on the other end, and A.J. Harris having a hard time getting up. Trainer's out.
I think he just hit his knee really hard against the floor. He's a pretty tough kid. I bet he'll be all right. Right there, no call, and he goes down. He might have even hit knees with Jackson, which is really painful, but usually goes away before too long. But Chris Jans, his coach, is going to take him out.
Well, Harris with quite a night. 31 points, a career high for the point guard.
Boy, he put on a show early in the second half. And this kid has played awful well, too. It'd be nice to see him finish things by hitting a couple free throws.
Well, for Harris, just a little contusion. He's really holding that knee, hopefully a stinger from hitting hardwood. Mathis off to Jackson. Jackson fakes, pulls back up, and good. 4-point basketball game, Coach.
Wow, that was quite a shot. That was out of rhythm. Terrell Brown did a great job of not fouling him and defending him, kind of shortening that defensive leap at him here. And he just stepped back and hit this. Watch Brown do a nice job getting up, contesting it, not fouling. That's a 2-pointer, though. I think if they look at this, it looks like he had a, well, maybe not. From that first look, I thought he had a split inside of 3.
Yeah, got right behind the line. So a 4-point basketball game. Jackson, 27 points. Now 4-7 behind the arc.
Wow.
New Mexico called a timeout. With 24 seconds, what's your game plan, Coach?
New Mexico was cruising. Again, it's pretty simple if you're the Aggies, and I've said it twice already. A, get the ball in. B, hit some free throws. Now, they'll get it inbound to a big guy. They're doing a good job of denying the guards. I would get, and there he is, I would get Harris back in, who miraculously has come back from that knee injury. But then when the big guy catches it, they got to immediately get it back to a guard. Terrell Brown is not a big guy, but runs up that sideline. They're kind of inbounding it to their secondary, what I call secondary receivers, using their guards as almost like a decoy, and then running a big guy or another guy down the sideline. They've done that all night against the Lobos press, which they have handled pretty well.
Jackson with his 4th foul. And Brown an opportunity.
Nope. That looked bad coming out of his hand. Oh, get ready for quite a finish here, Miss Jenny.
That for 12 from the line. Can't convert either. And now Lobo basketball with 18 points, 4-minute difference. Jackson takes it up, misses, and in goes Mathis. Lobos have to foul. They get a turnover,
Coach.
Coach.
Steal. 2-point game.
3 seconds and the ball on the floor. Aggies take the basketball, and now a whistle.
And I'm not sure what happened there. The Lobos had it, lost it. The Aggies got it, and I think got fouled. Wow. I think Anthony Mathis had the ball, was going to drive it, lost it, and then there was a loose ball situation. All of that coming after that hard trap in the corner. The Aggies, who have not done this hardly all night, enter it right to the coffin corner where you don't want it against this trap. There's a turnover. Anthony Mathis now on a dribble drive and lost ball, contact, no call. And we end up with the Aggies at the free throw line with 0.7 left.
0.7 seconds. Vance Jackson also limping around, Coach.
In a situation like this, you may be on, well, I wouldn't miss on purpose. I would never take points off the board, but with 0.7, the Lobos would have to throw a very, very long three in to make it.
Referees
to win it.
Are going to look at the clock and make sure they have the correct time.
Well, for a game that looked like the Aggies were cruising, Jenny, this one ended up being kind of exciting here at the end and is not over yet.
So 5 fouls on Pinchuk, and that's what the horn was about.
See, there's some contact here, and I think a pretty good no call. I'm not sure that was a foul, so I think that was a good no call. Anthony Mathis lost it. I think when you're at home, you kind of think that's a foul, and you should get that.
So the clock will be set to 1.2. It's sitting at 12 right now in-house. They're trying to get that decimal pointer. It looks like my math.
I've played on the road before like that, when it goes from 0.7 to 12, 1.2. See if Bobbitt can knock a couple in, and if he does, then they can just walk away.
Bobbitt makes 3-point lead for the Aggies.
The Aggies almost shot themselves in the foot by missing some free throws down the stretch.
And Bobbitt making both 4-point lead and a desperation shot. No good. Aggies beat the Lobos once again at the pit. Paul Weir has yet to beat his former team.
98-94, Jenny. There's some times where it was kind of rough and ugly, but it ended up being a heck of a ball game here in the pit and an exciting game. And what a pleasure working with you in your first play-by-play.
It was fun. What a first game, a rivalry game, and once again it belongs to the Aggies. They've now won four straight over New Mexico. Last time that happened, 1993 and 1994 season. For Joe Cravens and our entire AT&T Sportsnet crew, I'm Jenny Kavnar saying good evening from Albuquerque, where the Aggies still reign in the Rio Grande Rivalry with their victory tonight, 98-94.